Okay, I got a battle for you guys. It's a bleak battle. It's Rukia versus Byakuya. Byakuya versus Rukia. They're gonna be fighting in Katakura Town. And this is current forms, anime current forms, current um, versions of these two characters. Rukia came a long way from where she was. She, lost her powers, got her powers back. Um, she went to Wakamundo. She even beat one of the Aroncars, um, like one of the ranked ones, Spada's number 9, and it was the weakest one. But she was also, I think, like she might have been the only lieutenant to beat in a Spada, I believe. Yeah, I think so. Yep, that's definitely true. Yep, yep. So she got that, and then in Thousand Year Bubble, we know she obtained her Bankai. Now let's not go too crazy, because Byakuya, the guy she's fighting, he's always had his Bankai, and like when he fought against Renji, he made the remarks that it takes a long time for. And I want to say this too before I start, rambling about like who wins each category. So like you have to refine your bankai, so like you don't just attain it and then go fight and think you're gonna like scrap with people who have bankais. No, you have to do the training to like know like exactly how it works, its ins and outs. Just like your shikai, you know the ins and outs of that. You gotta know the ins and outs of your bankai. You don't just attain that and then go straight fight. Nah, you gotta like years. It takes years to do that shit. And even then, sometimes it reaches the cap, you know. And he told Renji that back then. He fought against Ichigo. He fought against some other people. He beat him in Spada too, and he beat his shit. He beat that guy like low to mid dip. Um, he then went on to lose, and then come back and let Rukia defeat his opponent with her Bankai. Renji or Rukia is not Renji. I actually have Rukia over Renji. So like let's see how this shit goes. And I do understand people that he has like more experience with Bankai Renji and Rukia. But Rukia, her Bankai, nah man, come on now. And I was talking about those two, but now we're gonna talk about this fight. I just told you a little bit about the characters before going into it, just a little bit. Now strength, striking power, lifting power goes to the man, Byakuya Kuchiki. Definitely goes to him over her. Little meek ass, you know, Rukia, she ain't doing all that. She ain't, lifting that much in the gym. She's not, striking people hard enough. It's just the way it is. Now, when it comes to speed, it goes to Byakuya. Byakuya has always been one of the fastest Soul Reapers. He still is, in the Soul Society. Like, I have him over Suifon. Because, like, he knows the different, like, flash step techniques just like her, but he's, like, a little more experienced. Now, I don't have him over Yoruichi, but he's still, like, he's right there with some fast characters, but I don't fucking do that, man. I don't sleep on that shit. Durability wise, we got Byakuya again. He did get his guts thrown out by Asnod, right? But Rukia, in that situation, she would have got her guts thrown out too. Now, she did better because she was trained, and like also she knew what her opponent was like. Like they didn't know shit going into their fight. Like Byakuya knew nothing going into that fight. He was just there to fight. When it comes to getting damaged and shit, she's gonna get damaged by him first, and she's gonna be bleeding first before he even gets cut. And then when it comes to endurance, I have to give it to him as well. He's fought in some long fights. She's had her long bouts, and like the fight she was in actually, in like one, they were actually kind of long, not like long, but they weren't short. They were not short, man. They went through their phases and shit. Like she had to like see what her opponents could do, and then she had to like pull like basically every move out of her ass to win. And it'll kind of be like that here. She ain't gonna be able to hold back. Endurance wise, though, Byakuya has that. Intelligence wise, Rukia is a smart girl. She has a good head on her shoulder. She likes to learn and other stuff. But I think that Byakuya is also kind of like that. And he is, man. He don't fuck around and play games. He's like really by the books and other stuff, man. So I have to give it to him because of that. If you wanted to give it to her, I wouldn't get upset, but I know it's Byakuya. Winning that category. Experience, he's winning that category as well. Before she was even a Soul Reaper, he was already a captain with a fully realized Bankai. Alright. So we have that taken care of. Close skills go to Rukia, actually. I know that might be throwing people for a loop. I know what he does with his sword, right? So he uses his Zenbone Sakura. He scatters the petals, but then he also, when he scatters the petals, sometimes he likes to show up there and like strike. And that's what you might say. But like that's not really having like close range sword skills. Rukia, on the other hand, she has to like run up on people and like do that shit. Actually run that shit. She'll be doing that when they're fighting Shikai versus Shikai in that phase of the battle. It's definitely going to her there. But range skills wise, it's definitely Byakuya by a long shot. And I would say, one day maybe Rukia, but with what we have right now, I have to give it to Byakuya. And then range or range skills go to him. Recovery goes to Byakuya. You bounce back. Like he had the worst injury. So everybody that went to the Soul Power, like my man's guts was torn out. He was fucking almost dead. They were like, we need to get this guy up there. He's like they know he's one of the more powerful captains and shit, right? So like they don't want him to die. We gotta give him the like best treatment possible. He's also from one of the royal families or the noble families too. So and she got her little like boo-boo scratches. She might have had like a fracture or something, but it wasn't like what he had to deal with. And he bounced back from that. He then came down and started fighting against the Stenders again. We got hacks going to Byakuya. And Rukia's come a long way, and I know girls, and I do, and my Rukia fans, I said I do. She's a Deuteragonist, and she did do a lot to get there. But Byakuya is always, like, he's a man who's on his shit. I like to say that, and I don't know, but I'll make a video one day. I think he's, like, kind of like a Virgo. He's very analytical. He's always trying to be on, like, dotting his I's and crossing his T's. He's that kind of guy. He don't fucking play games when it comes to his job. He does not, Bankai is better than her. It's more refined. He has flash step. She has that too, but not like him. Like she has the basic shit that all the Soul Reapers have. He knows all the flash step techniques because he was in that fucking contest with Yoruichi. He never quite beat her at speed, but he still learned and got faster from doing that shit. And so the environment goes to Rukia, since I did say they're fighting in Katakura Town. She knows about that shit more than he does. He just went there to pick her up that one time. And that one time when he fought against Tsukishima, and man, she's been there so many times. So I have to give it to her. But hey, man, there was no doubt in my mind that Byakuya was winning this fight. Zenbone Sakura, Kageyoshi, like once that shit comes out, it's pretty much like a wrap. She could probably fight against it for a little bit in her Bankai form, but like the thing about her Bankai form is like she can't control like her body temperature. She's affected by it. It has basically recoil. So she'll freeze to death if she doesn't know how to manage her own body temperature. She don't have that. And I'd like to say, like, in, like, if she, refines her bankai in, coming years and shit, a couple hundred years and shit like that, she probably would actually take this fight to extreme diff and maybe even win. But because of where they are currently, nah, Byakuya's winning this shit mid to high difficulty, people. And that's this fight. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And be cool, call on the corner.